Look Outreach is underwritten by the generous support of Munter Enterprises. Family owned and operated since 1972, integrity is important, as our family name is on every project. Our word is our bond. Munter Enterprises. Just build it.
Exceptional products, expert design, experienced professionals. An American Buildings Company authorized builder can turn your dream of a new building into a reality. Because ABC Builders are local contractors, they know your market and can handle your project from beginning to end. So if you're ready today, your ABC Builder is building tomorrow.
Call Munter Enterprises, 518-584-6174.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, it's no secret to anyone who lives here that all throughout the Adirondacks, we have all these little jewels and all these wonderful institutes and places to go. Well, one of the crown jewels, of course, is the Great Camp Sagamore in the Adirondacks, right out in Racket Lake. And joining me today is the executive director of Camp Sagamore, Garet Livermore. You know I was going to do that,
yes,
didn't you? You did know that. And someone you might recognize, Dan Beggren, who's a musician, folk, specializing in folk, the traditions of Adirondack folk music.
Good
Dan,
to be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you back as well. And we have a surprise at the end. Dan is going to play in the program, taking us out today. The reason we invited you in is that we've got a fundraiser going on.
Yes, we do.
And it's for the Great Camp Sagamore. Mm-hmm. And before we give you the details on that, since we're lucky enough to have you here today, tell us a bit about the camp, the history of the camp.
Well, Sagamore was built by William West Durant in 1897, and it's considered the iconic Adirondack Great Camp. Our main lodge is used as a symbol of the Adirondacks because of it's one of the first places that the Adirondack style of bark and red paint and everything else was developed.
Yes, right. Now, Durant was kind of a colorful figure himself, one might note.
Yes.
You know, back in the days of the big industrialists, and the names, of course, that you recognize as the Carnegies and the Vanderbilts and the Morgans and all of that. But Durant seemed to live on the edge a little bit. So he built this camp late 1800s, right?
Yes, in 1897.
And was there for about a minute.
Yes, well, he inherited a fortune from his father, Thomas Clark Durant, who built the eastward side of the Transcontinental Railroad. And he proceeded to take his father's great fortune and turn it into a series of bankruptcy cases. One of which was Sagamore. He built, and it took him about 7 or 8 years to build it. He completed 1897 as a complex of buildings right on its own lake, Sagamore Lake, in the village of Racket Lake, and lived there for 4 or 5 years, and then had to sell it because of financial problems to Alfred G. Vanderbilt.
And if you fast forward, the Vanderbilts got involved. They owned it for some years, I understand,
yes.
right?
For about 50 years. They ran it, and they really turned into kind of a crossroads of American culture, political life. People as diverse as Gary Cooper, Howard Hughes, and Madam Chiang Kai-shek were all guests at Sagamore and came for the summer to experience the Adirondack wilderness.
I think Dan was telling me Howard Hughes, I think, is hiding in there someplace.
He might
Isn't
be.
he? Someplace.
Every once in a while he pokes his head out of the third floor of the main lodge.
And the lodge, of course, it really is, as Garet was saying, it is a beautiful traditional Adirondack style, which they were really creating at that time, a mixture, a bit of the rustic look of the Adirondacks, but some interesting European influences like Swiss chalets and the like, right?
Yes. Well, Durant was raised in boarding schools in England and the continent, and his father gave him this land and kind of charged him with creating the next generation of the family fortune. So he took those styles and melded them, and it was really a combination of an aesthetic and a practical decision. The aesthetic was the European influences, so you have the Swiss chalet, you have these very strong manor house influences, very imposing doors and ironwork and stone. But the practical was, when he built Sagamore, it was literally in the middle of wilderness. It was 30 miles to the nearest road. So things that had to be brought in, such as windows and ironwork, that the raw iron, had to be hand carried that distance. So the rustic style made a lot of sense because you could use all the trees and native materials and integrate them into the style as well as being part of the construction.
Wow. Now, the Sagamore does, as you can tell from the grandeur of what we're discussing here, needs constant upkeep. and they want to preserve the programs. When the Sagamore became an institute, they really did do that to enable the public
Right.
to come in and experience at all different levels. I mean, my wife and I cross-country skied around there even. And part of that programming is something you're involved with, right, Dan?
Yes, I've come and given concerts. I've given illustrated lectures about Adirondack music, played for square dances. There's an old barn that's been fixed up, and sometimes grandparents and grandchildren dance together in that barn, and we have a grand old time.
Boy, I bet you do. So coming up on April 15th, which is a Saturday, right down in Schenectady at the Proctor's GE Theater.
Right.
That's a great space, by the way. Dan and a bunch of other jam crackers are going to be performing. So, and you better have a quick step that night as well.
That's right.
I think.
Yes.
So, and we're alluding to some of the musicians, and I just want to read it. It's going to be Dan and another Dan Duggan, John Kirk, Ed Lohman, Peggy Lynn, Trish Miller, Sarah Milonovich, right? Is that how you pronounce it? Yes. And of course, Alex Smith, who we know has been on our music show Tracks.
Right.
And the idea there is for $30, you get to really experience some of the best artists today, respecting the traditions of Adirondack music and presenting it. And 100% of the funds is going back to the camp, right?
Yes.
That's right. There's all kinds of music programming that happens at Sagamore, and one of the new things we're doing this spring will be the second annual Roots and Branches, where we invite young people to come and experience songwriting, playing in groups, a little bit of the history of traditional music. And this concert helps make that possible, helps make some 20-year-olds eligible to spend the weekend with us.
Sure. And, when you realize that the idea of being able to go just to that environment, you think about the environment that you're willing to learn in, if you know what I mean by that. And the whole idea is, you go up to the Great Camp and you're day-to-day working with other musicians like yourself who are really so steeped in their traditions. And you want to play banjo? Bring the banjo up. You want to learn how to play guitar? Come up, right?
Yeah, you understand it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you both very much for coming in.
Thanks for
I
having
want
us.
to give you the details again on this. Saturday, April 15 at Proctor's GE Theater, right down in Schenectady. Easy run from the viewing area here. $30 a ticket. They've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 musicians who are really accomplished in their own right, but also join together to form little groups and little pockets of sound and music. So really, I highly encourage you to do it. And again, the music 100% is going to help preserve the programs at Great Camp Sagamore.
Yes.
Real
part of our tradition.
Real pleasure to meet you, Garet, and great to see you again, Dan. And stick around because Dan is going to play at the end of the program. Nice to see both of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.
Look Outreach is underwritten by the generous support of Munter Enterprises. Family owned and operated since 1972, integrity is important, as our family name is on every project. Our word is our bond. Munter Enterprises. Just build it.
Exceptional products, expert design, experienced professionals. An American Buildings Company authorized builder can turn your dream of a new building into a reality. Because ABC Builders are local contractors, they know your market and can handle your project from beginning to end. So if you're ready today, your ABC Builder is building tomorrow.
Call Munter Enterprises, 518-584-6174.